This is without a doubt one of my favorite countries on earth. Incredible Thailand. Hi there, how's it going? Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, currently 88 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 31 degrees Celsius here on lovely Ko Samet Island, Thailand. It was raining the past couple of days and so I didn't film it all. But today looking much better. So the plan is to walk that way and see how far we get. Ko Samet is a T-shaped island. I have a motorbike over there, just rode over from my hotel 10 minutes away or so, and then parked the motorbike and then going to just start walking down the coast along the beaches and the rocks. I guess there might be trails, not sure how this is going to go, but give it a try and see what happens. And then there is a road that goes along as well, and so at whatever point I decide to stop, then I will get to the road and try to catch a Song Tao Thai shared pickup truck or a motorbike taxi or whatever back up here to my motorbike there. As for the mermaid here, that is representing a character from an epic poem written in the 1800s by a Thai poet, and it takes place in part here on Ko Samet. It's kind of a magical world of various interesting characters and beings. So let's get the walk going and see how long I last before I decide to take a swim, which is probably not going to be too long. Maybe at the end of the beach down there before I continue along the rocks. So this is the main town and tourist hub along here. You can see a really nice stretch of sand, restaurants, and the water is feeling very, very nice. So yeah, looking forward to jumping in it. So, first, I need to explain the title, because anyone who has followed my channel closely will know that I claim to have visited 97 countries, not 100. I wanted to make the title 100 countries because I think it sounds better, but also it is accurate. So, I need to do a very quick explanation of the number of countries in the world. According to the United Nations, there are 193 officially recognized member states of the UN. And I go by the UN list of countries when I'm counting how many countries I have visited. But additionally, there are 2 observer countries who have representatives at the UN but do not have the voting ability. And so they are Palestine and Vatican City. Depending on which traveler you talk to, then some would count those and some wouldn't. I do count them because they are still part of the UN. And then there are also various disputed countries, many of them around the world. And so many travelers would also count Taiwan and Kosovo, which are, for all practical purposes, independent, separate nations, but disputed. China claims Taiwan, Serbia claims Kosovo. And so I don't count them because they are not part of the UN, recognized as being independent. And then additionally, there is northern Cyprus on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, divided northern Turkish-speaking Cyprus, southern Greek-speaking Cyprus. And it is only recognized, I believe, by Turkey as an independent country. And then there are various other places, Western Sahara, Transnistria, etc., that are also disputed, but generally not considered to be independent countries. So I have been to Taiwan, Kosovo, and northern Cyprus. And in my journal, in which I list the countries, I include them separately as disputed countries. I use the word countries in my journal that I've been to. And so I've been to 97 United Nations member states, as well as 3 disputed countries, and then a few territories of other countries. So I am at 100 according to my own way of calculating them. It's just that 3 are disputed. So there you go, 100 countries visited over the past, well, I could say 52 years since I was born in Canada, and that was the first country that I visited, so to speak, and then moved to the United States. And then my international traveling began when I was 18 years old in 1990. As for will I visit every country in the world? No, I have no aspirations of doing so. But I do look forward to getting to 100 countries officially, 100 UN member states. Maybe that will happen this year. Okay, so let's get started with the list. Now, I am not including the United States and Canada on this list, even though I would say they are 2 of my favorite countries, but because I am a citizen of both countries and my channel is more dedicated to international traveling outside of those countries, and also just to leave 2 more slots to include other countries than those. But certainly the US and Canada are amazing countries with very much to see. All right, here we go. Starting at the bottom, number 20 is Guatemala. Of course, in Central America, I have been there just once in 2015. I entered going overland from Belize and went to the Mayan ruins of Tikal, which were absolutely spectacular. I think they are probably the most incredible Mayan ruins that I have seen, because I've seen other ones in Mexico. Really phenomenal. And then traveled by minibus across the country and went to various other places, it is definitely a country that I would love to go back to. I spent a fair amount of time on Lake Atitlan in San Pedro. Altogether spent a month in Guatemala, and I would say it's my favorite Central American country. So I wrote up my list of 20 top countries, and kind of appropriately then all 6 continents that I've been to are represented, as well as South Asia and the Middle East and Central America, as I just said. And so it's a fairly widely dispersed list, including basically all parts of the world, other than I haven't been to Antarctica yet. Okay, so the question is, do I take a swim? I think I won't, even though I really want to, but let's make some more progress on this list. So, Romania. Of course, Eastern Europe. Very, very interesting country. I think quite underrated, with their own unique Latin language of Romanian. It is very affordable. It is very classically European, but certainly a bit run down in many parts of it. But it really has some of the most beautiful city centers, old city centers, and just a lot to see. I've been there now twice, I guess. Once in winter, and then once a couple of years ago, I forget what month, but I think that was in summer or maybe fall or something, but perfect weather for a road trip, and so I rented a car and drove all over. It is one of those places that is great for going on random adventures, having a destination in mind, and then you find lots of really interesting things along the way, drive past places that you stop and check out, and then discover something really unique, incredible. Churches, castles, cool villages, towns, etc. So I think that Eastern Europe in general is underrated. Australia. So I've only been to Australia once, but I was very much impressed by it. I spent about 3 weeks, I think, there. And so, of course, Australia is a continent of its own, huge, about the same size as the continental US. Much to see, long distances. It's not cheap, but I didn't find it to be outrageously expensive. It was definitely up there in one of the more expensive countries. But I went to Sydney, Melbourne, Cairns, Port something west of Cairns, and then Brisbane, Gold Coast. And so I saw a fair amount in my few weeks there. I got around by catching flights between those cities mostly, other than I rented a car in Cairns and drove over to that Port Douglas, I think maybe it was. And so I did some classic Australian things, went to a zoo and saw a crocodile attack demonstration, went hiking in the rainforest. I'm trying to remember if I ever took a swim there. Can't remember if I did, because at Port Douglas then it was crocodile season and maybe also jellyfish season, I forget. But completely empty beaches, beautiful white sand beaches, nobody on them because it was just not safe. So Australia, definitely recommend it, and I very much look forward to going back again sometime. And another really, really nice looking beach. Okay. Yeah, I think that a swim needs to happen before I keep on hiking. All right, let's see what it looks like under there. Don't think there's going to be anything too interesting, but it is gonna feel good. So I'm getting hungry for some lunch. Very tempting to stop here, but let's make some more progress both along the coast and up the list. So the next country is Malta, a very small island nation in the Mediterranean Sea. So the Mediterranean is my favorite part of the world, and that is reflected in this list, in which 9 of the countries on my top 20 list are on the Mediterranean, so almost half of the list. So Malta is absolutely one of the most interesting places in the world, especially if you are interested in history. Now, it is more known for beaches and bars and party scene and drunken Brits and stuff like that, but it has some of the most just absolutely astounding, mind-blowing history in terms of architectural ruins, etc., in the world, and all kind of piled on top of each other, various layers of history. At one point, where I was standing on the island, I could see a cave where there were the remains of like hundreds of ancient animals, pre-Ice Age animals, saber-toothed tigers, etc., all found the skeletons inside this cave. And then from that same point, I could see a World War II pillbox, you know, little whatever shooting building, and a Roman era villa, and I forget what else, like maybe Greek, and then I could see a modern city from there. There were multiple layers of history all in the same spot there, and so you have all these bizarre things like ancient catacombs, and then these cart ruts, they are called. And pardon the shirtlessness, but it's just kind of the way it's going to be, because it is hot, hot, hot. Okay, what is the route looking like from here? Oh boy, it might get a bit trickier. We shall see how it goes. For now, barefoot, but I do have my sandals attached to my backpack here. So Malta is great to visit for all types of people. If you like nice hot weather, beaches, nightlife, history, you can go to Gozo, the smaller island, and it's a quieter scene there. I would like to go back and see more of Gozo, so highly recommend Malta. Next on the list is Jordan in the Middle East. I would say that Jordan is my favorite Middle Eastern country that I've seen so far, in large part because of the various ancient ruins. Speaking of history, it's a smaller country. There isn't as much to see as many other countries in the Middle East and elsewhere, but the ancient Roman city of Jerash was just absolutely fascinating. And then I did a road trip, well, a day trip with a taxi driver, driving down the country with views of the Dead Sea, and then stopping at what was sort of a miniature Petra, similar to Petra, maybe the same civilization, before getting to Petra, and then spent 2 days exploring Petra, and it was just absolutely one of my top favorite places to see in the world. There is so much more than just the treasury, it is called, the facade on the cliff. That is one of the things to see there, but there is a vast area to explore, in which I recommend, if you go there, getting the 3-day Jordan Pass and spending 3 days there, because there is enough to see over the course of 3 days of exploring. All right, we have another very nice, cute little beach. So this is one that I might not have come across if I wasn't just walking along the coast. Really sweet, with bungalows here. And I see what looks like maybe steps up ahead, so that could be a good sign as far as this walk working out. And next on the list is Morocco, on the Mediterranean to the north and the Atlantic to the west. So I have only visited North Africa. I haven't been to Sub-Saharan Africa yet. There are many countries in Sub-Saharan Africa that I would love to visit, so hopefully one of these days. So Morocco really has a lot going for it. Interesting cities, bustling markets. The food is alright, definitely not my favorite. I find the food in Morocco to be lacking in flavor, but certainly some good stuff. And then on the subject of history, a lot to see, including Roman ruins. One of the most interesting ancient Roman cities that I have seen was in Morocco, and there is a wide variety of different places and things to see and experience there. The first time there, then I did a 2-day overnight trip to the Sahara Desert. Rock garden here. Somebody asked in a comment, what's with the rocks stacked up? Nothing too mysterious about it, just something that people sometimes do just as a hobby, and then oftentimes once it gets started, other people come along and build more. So just something for the fun of it. And so that 2-day trip was really interesting. We saw a lot in the course of 2 days, driving from Marrakesh to the Sahara Desert, over the Atlas Mountains, stopping at, I forget what it's called, but a popular filming location for many movies. Went on a camel ride into the desert, slept in the Sahara, and then it snowed in the Atlas Mountains on the way back. This was in December. And then my second time, I saw a lot more of the country, including the incredible blue city of Chefchaouen and Fez and much more. Now, the number one and really only drawback of Morocco is the hustlers. It is bad, especially for some reason the second time, maybe because it was still COVID times, but it was just relentless. They would not take no for an answer, had people follow me. And so that really bumps it down, unfortunately, when you have to go through all this hassle and stress in the course of your day of trying to explore the country. But it is worth putting up with some hassle to see some of the most interesting places and very unique culture. It is also fairly well developed with good roads and nice buses and very little garbage around. Next is Egypt. So speaking of history, Egypt has, of course, some of the most spectacular, fascinating ancient sites in the world. Not just the Great Pyramids, which are absolutely one of the top places to see and one of the most mysterious places on Earth. When you actually crunch the numbers of how many stone blocks are in the pyramids, how massive they are, it really seems impossible. It seems like they just should not exist. That especially an ancient culture could not have possibly built something like this, and yet they obviously did, because there they are. So at one point, somebody tried to dismantle them. I forget who it was, but they gave up. So if dismantling, trying to destroy them, is that hard, and so there's a big gash in one of the pyramids as a result of them making some progress and then finally giving up, then you can imagine the constructing of them, including just hauling the blocks from where they came from way up the Nile River. That alone is a monumental task. 2 million blocks, I think, in the Great Pyramid of Giza. So absolutely fascinating, but of course that is just the very beginning of what there is to see in Egypt. There is also a wide range of places to go. The Siwa Oasis is absolutely one of my favorite places in Egypt and in the world. Really interesting town way out in the desert. And then you have the ruins at Luxor, the valleys of the kings and the queens, and then Aswan and the Aswan Dam, and then the Sinai Peninsula. So tons and tons to see in Egypt. I've been there 3 times and would love to go back again. All right, so here we are at another very lovely looking beach. Maybe this is the place to get something to eat. Yeah, let's go for it. This is really eye-opening, seeing this series of beaches on this island. It's really quite ultimate as far as, you know, take your pick. If you want the crowded family beach, you can hang out there, or find the tiny little private ones, or medium busyness. So yeah, let's check out the options here. And so next on the list is the little European country of Georgia in Eastern Europe, although it's a bit debatable whether it is genuinely part of Europe, because it is right at the crossroads of Europe and Asia and the Middle East. In the Caucasus region, that is where the word Caucasian comes from, the Caucasus Mountains on the border of Georgia and Russia. There is a lot to see packed into this little country, including some beaches, I guess, on the Black Sea. I went to Batumi in Georgia, but that was like late in the fall, I think, and it was a bit chilly and super quiet there, and so I didn't swim. But it is on the Black Sea, but mostly what you're going to explore there is in the interior of the country. Okay, I recognize where I am now. I came to this beach on my first day here. Another really nice one. So the capital of Georgia, Tbilisi, is a really interesting city that has both futuristic looking buildings and bridges, as well as very ancient architecture. There are hot springs there. A beautiful river flows through it. It's not huge, there isn't a ton to see, but it is definitely worth stopping for at least a few days, and then you can either take a bus or minivan or a taxi to other places to see there, or I highly recommend renting a car and going on your own road trip. I did that once. I've been to Georgia 3 times. And so the last time I rented a car in Tbilisi and drove north up to the Caucasus Mountains and made lots of stops along the way. The culture and history is super interesting. It is Christian, one of the earliest Christian nations. Nearby Armenia is actually the first official Christian nation. So they're both Christian, but both Georgia and Armenia have their own very unique languages and writing, and so the writing of Georgia is very interesting looking, and for being a small country there is really a lot to see there, and just a very unique mix of cultures and history and various influences. So definitely one of my favorite countries in Eastern Europe. Next on the list is Peru. So I have only been to South America once. I went to Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador for a total of 3 months. I spent, I think, about 7 weeks in Peru, so most of my time spent in Peru, and there is, of course, a lot to see, from the coast to the Andes Mountains, Machu Picchu. Lots of very bizarre ancient ruins and various phenomenon, including the strange formations on the ground. I forget now what they are called, the Nazca lines. There we go, the Nazca lines. Images of animals and shapes and various things that you can't see from the ground. You could walk right over it and not notice it. You can only see these shapes from the air. And so that in particular boggles the imagination, how people, who knows how many centuries ago, created these images on the ground that you can't see from the ground, and why they created them. So a real mystery. And then you also have Amazonian rainforest, desert, a lot to see, a lot to explore in amazing. Peru, I look forward to going back to South America and revisiting Peru again another time. And now number 11 is Spain. I think that Spain is a highly underrated country, even though it is a very popular tourist destination, but you don't really see a whole lot of travel vloggers going there beyond, you know, Barcelona, Madrid, a few places. I have been there a number of times, I think maybe 4 or 5 times. I can't say that I've explored the country really comprehensively, but seen quite a bit, including all of the islands in the Mediterranean, the Balearic Islands they're called. So Ibiza, of course, Mallorca, Menorca, Formentera, all really cool. And then also been to the Canary Islands, just to Gran Canaria and Tenerife. Would love to go back to the Canaries. And then explored a fair amount of the interior. And the cities are absolutely some of the best cities in the world. It is one of those countries where you can just rent a car and go, and basically every town and city you're going to drive through is going to have incredible architecture, a classic old town. The Spanish, for all their imperfections, shall we say, in terms of their colonial influence on the Americas, etc., which was really terrible, but they are master city builders, and their old cities remain in both Spain and the Americas, and they are truly remarkable, beautiful cities and a lot to see. So I very much look forward to going back to Spain again sometime soon. And there you go, yet another just amazing beach and bay. Love these curving bays with the calm waters. What an island. I think that I have to officially say this is my favorite island of Thailand. It just kind of has everything. Apparently the weather is going to be rainy again the next couple of days, so that's a bit of a shame. You can't really do too much on a tropical island when it's raining. I did go for a swim yesterday, not in the middle of the downpour. It was raining really hard at certain points, but managed to at least get a swim in. Okay, looks like we can keep on cruising through this resort. Looks like a nice place. The question is, which way to go? Looks like that says Songtian Beach Resort, so, should I go up that way or up that way, or is that a path? Looks like it. Okay, I guess probably this way. I'm going to check my phone just to be sure.